All right, let's dive into privilege escalation in Windows.
Okay.
We've got a bunch of articles and some YouTube videos, too.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, a good mix to get a handle on how privilege escalation works.
Especially in Windows.
Right, and of course, how to protect ourselves.
Right.
This guy, Bert Blevins, he's in a lot of the videos.
Oh, yeah. I've seen him around.
Yeah, seems like a real expert.
Definitely.
So what's fascinating to me is privilege escalation.
Yeah.
It's not like the super complex thing, right?
Yeah, not always.
It's more about finding those sneaky back doors.
Exactly. Exploiting those everyday things.
Misconfigurations or vulnerabilities.
Yeah, think of it this way.
Okay.
You've got a company, different levels of access.
Right.
Someone in the mailroom shouldn't access the CEO's financial reports.
Makes sense.
But if there's a weakness, they might sneak in.
That's where things get dangerous.
Definitely.
I was reading one of Blevins' articles. Disgruntled employee, basic access, manipulated permissions.
Yeah.
Caught control of sensitive company data.
Yeah, insider threats are real.
For sure, cybersecurity isn't just external threats.
You got it.
So Blevins, he pointed out,
Yeah.
abusing admin tools, it's a common way this happens.
Like giving someone a master key.
And being surprised when they unlock doors they shouldn't?
Exactly.
So how do we prevent someone from copying that key or picking the lock?
Well, one way is the principle of least privilege,
I've heard of that.
giving users the minimum access they need.
Right. Need to know basis?
Exactly. If they don't need access to certain files, they shouldn't have it.
Makes sense. So even if compromised, damage is limited.
That's the goal.
And of course, we can't forget software vulnerabilities.
Absolutely.
Blevins really hammered that home.
Yeah, those third-party applications, so many weaknesses.
With leaving a window open in your house,
Anyone can just climb in.
that's where patching comes in.
Right. Got to keep those systems and applications updated.
It's like installing security cameras, motion sensors.
Deter those unwanted guests.
Blevins said failing to patch vulnerabilities,
Oh, yeah.
like an invitation for attackers.
Basically.
So it's not just about locking the doors.
You got it.
It's about securing those windows too.
Definitely.
But let's be real.
Okay.
Even with all these precautions,
Yeah.
determined attackers might still find a way in.
That's true.
Layering security is so important then.
Absolutely.
You mentioned those YouTube videos.
Yeah.
There's one, Blevins talks about OAuth. OTP, MFA.
Oh, right.
Open authentication, time-based, one-time password, multi-factor authentication.
Got a mouthful.
Yeah, but I'm guessing it's about extra layers of security.
You got her.
Like a security guard at your door.
Checks your ID before you can come in.
So even if someone steals your key, they can't get past the guard.
Precisely.
I like how Blevins uses real-world examples.
Me too. Makes it easier to understand.
He talks about banks using physical tokens with passwords.
Oh, right. For online access.
That second factor makes it way harder to impersonate you. Another interesting thing he talked about, just-in-time permissions.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
JIT.
I remember seeing that.
Intriguing concept.
So what's the deal with those?
Imagine you're at work. You need to access a specific file,
Okay.
usually off limits. But with JIT,
Yeah.
instead of permanent access, you request temporary permission.
Just for the time you need to work on that file.
Precisely.
Like getting a temporary visitor's badge.
Instead of a permanent employee ID.
You only have access when you need it.
Exactly.
So even if your credentials are compromised,
Uh-huh.
the attacker won't have access to everything.
Nope, because those privileges are time limited.
Blevins really highlighted this.
Yeah, it minimizes the risk of long-term damage.
This is all really insightful stuff.
I agree.
I'm curious about Bert Blevins himself, though.
Yeah, what about him?
He seems like a bit of a legend in the cybersecurity world.
He is. He's been in the trenches for a long time.
Not just a tech expert,
Nope.
educator, community leader.
Right.
He even works with a company, Delinea, right?
Yeah, they specialize in privileged access management.
PM!
You got it.
Another term I've heard thrown around.
It's a big one.
What exactly is PM? How does it fit into all this?
Well, that's a discussion for part 2 of our deep dive.
Okay, fair enough.
But just to give you a taste,
Right.
PM, it's like a high security vault
Okay.
for your most sensitive data and access privileges.
So it helps organizations control who has access to what.
Exactly, making sure those master keys don't fall into the wrong hands.
Ooh, that sounds intriguing.
It is.
Before we move on, though,
Isn't
something
it?
we touched upon earlier, those internal risks.
Right.
We talked about the disgruntled employee,
Uh-huh.
but are there other internal threats we should be aware of?
Absolutely. Human error is a big one.
Oh, right.
Blevins talks about a case an employee clicked a phishing link.
Accidentally, I'm guessing?
Yeah, gave attackers a foothold in the company's network.
It's not always about malicious intent, then.
Sometimes it's just mistakes.
And that's where education and awareness come in.
For sure. Got to train employees to spot phishing attempts.
Be cautious about suspicious emails, follow best practices.
It's like teaching them to avoid virtual potholes.
I like that analogy.
It fits.
I think that's a perfect place to pause for now.
That's so good.
In part 2, we'll delve deeper into PAM,
Okay.
explore more of Blevins' insights,
Looking forward to it.
and see how we can further strengthen those digital defenses.
Should be interesting. Welcome back.
Yeah, it's amazing.
How even simple oversights
Uh-huh.
can lead to privilege escalation.
It really is.
Cybersecurity is like a chain,
Okay.
only as strong as its weakest link.
And often.
That weak link is human.
Yeah, that's true.
But let's dig into that concept from before.
Yeah.
Privilege access management.
PAM
And-
sounded like a powerful tool
It is.
to lock down those digital master keys.
It is.
What can you tell me about it?
Well, think of it this way.
Okay.
A company, tons of sensitive data, critical systems.
Right.
PAM is like a high security control room,
Mhm.
overseeing access to those vital assets.
So instead of giving everyone free reign,
Right.
you're centralizing control,
Right.
making sure only authorized personnel have access.
Exactly.
So PAM solutions,
Yeah.
things like password vaulting,
Uh-huh.
session monitoring, even those JIT privileges we talk about.
Absolutely. JIT is key.
Blevins was a big fan of those.
Rightfully so.
He even mentioned a case study.
Oh, yeah.
A company implemented JIT,
Mm-hmm.
saw a huge reduction in the risk of privilege escalation.
It's really effective.
And Blevins highlights,
Yeah.
PAM isn't just about preventing those external attacks,
Right.
but also mitigating those insider threats.
Exactly.
Because even with good intentions, employees make mistakes.
They do.
They could accidentally expose sensitive data.
Happens all the time.
PAM adds that extra layer of oversight.
To minimize those
It's
risks.
a safety net.
For your most critical systems and data.
Exactly.
Blevins goes further, though,
Okay.
emphasizing that PAM should be integrated.
With other security measures.
Right. Multi-factor authentication, robust logging.
So it's not just a standalone solution.
It's part of a comprehensive strategy.
And that's where things get interesting.
How so?
PM can help enforce the principle of least privilege,
On a much larger scale.
manually managing permissions for every user and system,
Oh, it's a nightmare.
especially in large organizations.
Yeah, PM automates that.
Makes it much more manageable,
Exactly. Provides that centralized control and visibility.
which is so crucial these days.
Absolutely.
Blevins used an analogy, air traffic control tower,
Oh, like air traffic controllers manage the flow of aircraft.
to prevent collisions.
Right, PM manages the flow of access to prevent breaches.
That's a great analogy.
It really drives the point home.
But implementing PAM
Yeah,
sounds like a big undertaking.
it can be.
Where do you even begin?
First step, assess your current security posture.
Okay.
Identify critical assets. Understand your access controls.
Pinpoint any vulnerabilities. Take inventory of your digital crown jewels.
And figure out how to protect them.
Then you can explore different PAM solutions.
See which one fits your needs and budget.
Makes sense.
Blevins recommends involving key stakeholders.
From different departments
IT, security, even legal.
to make sure it aligns with everyone's requirements.
Precisely.
It's a team effort then,
It is.
not just an IT project.
Definitely not.
Let's talk about the human element again.
Okay.
We discussed education and awareness,
Mhm.
but are there other ways to foster a security-conscious culture?
What approach Blevins advocates for?
Yeah.
Gamifying security training.
Ooh, interesting.
Instead of boring lectures,
Right.
create interactive games and simulations.
Make learning about security fun.
Exactly.
I like that, turning it into a video game.
That's much more engaging.
Definitely more fun than a PowerPoint.
For sure.
Blevins also emphasized communication and feedback.
Oh, absolutely.
Keep employees informed about the latest threats.
And encourage them to report suspicious activity.
So it's a two-way dialogue.
Yeah,
Employees feel empowered to participate.
rather than just being passive recipients of rules.
That sense of ownership can make a huge difference.
It really can.
But let's step back for a second.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about prevention,
Uh,
but what if, despite our best efforts,
yeah,
a privilege escalation incident occurs?
that's where incident response comes in.
And that deserves its own deep dive.
It does in part 3.
Okay, looking forward to that.
That'll be a good one.
But before we move on,
Sure.
one key takeaway about PAM.
I think the most important thing,
Okay.
PAM isn't just for large enterprises.
Oh, interesting.
It's valuable for organizations of all sizes.
So even small businesses,
They have sensitive data too.
that needs protection
PAM can help them achieve that.
without breaking the bank,
Exactly. It's an investment worth considering.
especially as the threat landscape evolves.
It's constantly changing.
So in part 3, we'll shift our focus
Okay.
to incident response
Let's go.
and see how to handle those cybersecurity curveballs.
Should be interesting.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive.
The final part.
We've talked about preventing privilege escalation.
Yeah.
We've explored pain ham.
Right.
But sometimes
things just go wrong.
that's when incident response comes in.
Exactly.
Dealing with the aftermath of a breach,
Minimizing the damage.
learning from what happened. So it's like
like what?
cybersecurity version of a fire drill.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah. You hope you never need it.
But you better be prepared.
If the alarm goes off,
Exactly.
having a well-defined plan is key then.
Absolutely. Blevins stresses that a lot.
Okay, let's say the worst has happened.
Okay.
Someone's gained unauthorized access.
Escalated their privileges.
Where do we even begin?
First step, containment.
Okay.
Isolate those affected systems
To prevent further spread,
and more damage.
like stopping a fire from spreading.
Exactly.
So we're talking about disconnecting compromised systems.
From the network.
Limiting the attacker's access?
Preventing them from communicating externally.
Or stealing data.
Blevins mentioned a case.
Oh, yeah.
A company didn't isolate a system fast enough.
Yeah.
Attacker stole tons of customer data.
That's a scary thought.
Speed is key in these situations.
But containment is just the first step.
Right.
What comes next?
Gathering evidence.
Okay.
Collecting logs. Analyzing activity. Documenting everything.
Like a digital forensic investigation.
Exactly.
Looking for clues.
How did they get in? What did they do? What did they take?
And Blevins pointed out,
Yeah.
this phase is crucial for understanding,
Not just this incident
but also vulnerabilities
that need to be addressed.
to prevent future attacks. So it's not just about cleaning up.
It's about learning and strengthening.
But incident response sounds technical.
It can be.
What if you don't have a dedicated cybersecurity team?
That's a good point.
Not every organization has those resources.
Sure.
So what can smaller businesses do?
One option is partnering with an MSSP, Managed Security Service Provider.
Okay.
They specialize in cybersecurity services.
Including incident response.
Exactly.
So outsourcing your cybersecurity to the experts
They have the tools and the expertise.
and the manpower
Right.
to help you handle those tough situations.
Precisely.
But even without an MSSP,
Yeah.
Blevins recommends having a list of trusted professionals,
You can reach out to in an emergency.
like a cybersecurity first aid kit.
Exactly.
So we've contained the threat,
Gathered evidence.
cleaned up the mess.
What's the final step?
Is it?
Learning from the experience.
Right, how do we do that?
Analyze what happened, find the root cause,
Yeah.
implement changes to prevent it from happening again.
Like a post-mortem after surgery.
In a way, yeah.
Understanding what went wrong.
And improving for next time.
Blevins stresses this isn't just fixing the problem.
Right.
It's about continuous improvement.
Building a more resilient organization.
This whole process sounds intense, though.
It can be.
How do you stay calm during a cybersecurity crisis?
Having that plan helps. It provides structure in those chaotic moments.
And communication, right?
Absolutely. Keep stakeholders informed.
Manage expectations.
Prevent rumors.
Clear communication is so important.
It keeps everyone on the same page.
Working towards a solution.
Exactly.
Even experienced pros have dealt with incidents.
It's a learning process.
Every incident, big or small.
Provides an opportunity to improve.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
On privilege escalation,
what are some key takeaways?
I think the biggest one,
Yeah,
cybersecurity is a journey.
not a destination.
It's about continuous improvement, adaptation, vigilance,
And it's not just about technology, it's
Sure.
about people too.
educating users, fostering security-conscious culture.
Having that solid incident response plan
It's all connected.
and resources like Blevins' work
Are invaluable.
for learning and staying ahead of the curve.
Definitely.
So we've reached the end of our deep dive.
Into privilege escalation.
We explored prevention, PAM, incident
A
response.
lot of ground covered.
Hopefully you feel equipped.
To navigate this complex world.
Remember, stay informed, stay vigilant.
And never stop learning.
Until next time, fellow deep divers,
Stay curious.
and stay secure.